Chapter 4. Professor Wickerstone looked out of his window at the very top of the mountain at the spectacular view of the broad valley below, at the sun-kissed hills, reaching and hugging the twilight. He had overheard Patrick, as though by a psychic microphone that was indeed his cauldron. Gotta keep up some stereotypes. He had no meaning, like of all things, a vampire. Was this imbecile not the least remotest aware of his curse bestowed upon him? He'd have to explain later anyway. With diligence. He put some thought into this. Warlock certainly had no connections as far as he was concerned, which worsens the curse of their victims, who deserved it. At least he invited them in, and, they would come in anyway, wouldn't they? Like a vampire who can't enter a door without being invited. Without even a welcome mat. As far as he was concerned, being an ancient, if sometimes cynical one he was still a gentleman. Of course, his cauldron that he mixed potions in for various reasons was somewhat like a detector. He had only puffed his world into existence slowly over time to try to get rid of his curse. As cauldrons of witches and other mythical creature owners were known as now and then, he can only be so similar. It was convenient Professor Wickerstone could deviously track someone or something eventful or not at any time in any world if he chose to. It might get boring. He recently thought about considering the creation of his own army of evil magical creatures in what pictured as the ultimate dream world, manipulating beyond the mountain. Oh yes. A type of zombified demon race that he could make take over whomever he chose, to enter their bodies and have the equivalent of a control chip in their minds to do whatever he demanded. He wasn't going to reveal this yet. When not dawdling, looking in a smoking cloud of liquid. His rotund smoking cloud of liquid. This was exactly what he started planning, and would lure those sucker infiltrators, or more of them if he had to, for guinea pigs. If one went wrong, he'd try another one and see what really screwed it up. He had his almost Eeyore-like assistant begin building a special quote-unquote zombifying machine as by his magic instructions of unfathomable strength that could create hundreds, if he wanted, of these demons and send out to different upcoming worlds into his visitor's surprise. They thought nobody was there. Still not perfect though, weapons were still hidden among the worlds that demons could hide. For safekeeping, if an intruder should be afoot, so the weapons could be claimed as first by anyone he reckoned as a test. But would they be involved enough, like a robot, to be self-aware or rebel or be sure about keeping the weapons hidden. Wickerstone knew for sure something such could and would be found in the swamps, temples where demons would await, guarding. The simple notion, huge things in huge places, came to mind in his vision. But Professor Wickerstone, what do you expect to do yourself should they get up here? And before your preparations? His assistant Crunch questioned. Wickerstone broke out of his vision and looked out to the filthy window again with his arms behind his back, and simply replied, "It's merely a test to see how far up our trippy mountain and few ordinary people can make it, before I turn them into one of my creatures or make them hallucinate by using magic on the already increasing altitude sickness. See what they blame it on. I can make them turn against each other. Should I see it fit to after experimenting? Well, at least one of them." He turned his head and looked back at his assistant with glaring red eyes. "You see, Crunch, especially up here, things aren't always what they seem in places you'd never mention. Meant to be ventured as though they don't want to be explored. Those unwelcome vagabonds will soon enough discover just what such creations are really like beyond their devious disguises. They'll bring out their real inner demons." After his own present causing unpleasant experiences, Wickerstone knew exactly what he was talking about. If he could find them, he could find the one that turned him into a warlock. His created worlds were more realistic than ever, and perhaps even more than he expected, which made every deceiving thing just the way he liked it, with a bit or a lot of unpredictability, as magic became his science. He ordered Crunch to create many kinds of creatures on a master computer. Wickerstone's own mind was riddled with brilliant maniacal mastermind plans, ideas for a domination to create an ultimate one. Every one of his worlds also did not really represent something about him either. He just made them the way he did. His curse was not his own to begin with. The designs would indeed determine just how much time he could have to distribute unfoilable schemes, and they'd find out when he wanted them to, and how these would change things dangerously in the blink of an eye by then. Time was of the essence of his curse, though. He knew for a fact some implications would rise by his control. He could feel it beginning already. The more he tried to relate it to himself, to those, the younger he felt, and the more powerful. And the more thirsty for sweet vengeance.